we've got this fabulous quilt that you brought, your touchstone quilt that you brought today. So tell me why you picked this quilt.
Well, the title is Checks and Balances, one of those terms we all learned in high school civics and are missing these days.
Right.
And I feel like finally I'm kind of living in my body. So often when you're on the road all the time and you're on schedule, and you kind of end up living in your head, and I'm kind of enjoying getting some balance between my physical, mental, and spiritual self. And so, I mean, that's a lot of what yoga is, and that's a lot of what's happening in my personal life. So I think, you know, the images in your art, even if you think they are not related to your personal life, usually are.
Interesting. Can you talk a little bit about the palette that you chose?
Well, I guess I'm sort of known for using the full spectrum rainbow colors. These are a little softer than they have been in many of the quilts that I've made in the past years. And I'm not sure why that is. You know, my life is different now than it was when I was on the road all of the time. Maybe it's a little less complicated, and I just thought that against the dark background, the lighter palette of spectral colors would show up more and create contrast. All of the fabrics in the quilt are actually from the line called Gradations that I designed for Benartex. Since 1984, I've been hand dyeing the fabrics for my quilts and hand painting the multicolored fabrics. And I've kind of designed my lines for Benartex to put myself out of the hand dyeing for everybody else's business, because I was hand dyeing my fabric for a number of years in order for my students to have what they needed in the classes. So
that's commercial fabric then?
It is commercial fabric, but it's based on my original hand-dyed fabrics. So I say I only use my own fabrics in my quilts, so that means either they're my one-of-a-kind hand-dyed, or they have my name on the selvage. So the part that everyone throws out. When you're a movie star, you get your name in lights. When you're a textile designer, you get your name on the part they cut off and throw in the trash until the end. Then the whole time I was piecing the quilt, I was thinking about how I might quilt the background. And the idea that just was the most compelling, although I knew it was going to be the most difficult, was to actually have more figures in the quilting in the background. So, and I was thinking I wanted to do the kind of quilting you see here, and I was thinking, well, gosh, that's, you know, it's not very figure-like, but I didn't really want to make them photorealistic either. And the day before I started quilting the first of the big figures, I got 2 movies from Netflix, and both of them were Cirque du Soleil, where all of the actors look more like plants or animals than they look like humans. And I just said, sure, why not? It's a fantasy piece. And so I had a really good time. I just made up the quilting as I went along. I didn't do any marking.
And who taught you, or were you self-taught?
I actually was pretty much self-taught initially. In 1974, my husband and I bought a farm in Missouri as a weekend place from a woman who made quilts. And she showed us her closet full of quilts, and I was enthralled and went right home and ordered a book on quilting from the Literary Guild.